Welcome to the Nourish and Restore podcast with Nina and me, Nicole, where we bring all things nourishing and restorative to you, your body, mind, and soul. A chance for you to enjoy simple tools to help you live a happier, healthier, and more peaceful life. Join our conversation as we explore our interesting theme for today. Welcome, everybody, to our episode for today. Today, we have the awesome Nina Saacks, who will be speaking about overwhelm and give us her tips and tricks on how to best acknowledge it, move through it, and come out better on the other side. Hello, Nina.
Hi, Nicole. I love it. And just following on your conversation from last week of, all the lovely tips that you'd given our listeners with regards to, spending time in nature, having that tactile connection, listening to music, breathing, creating space. And I look forward to kind of sharing a few things on my side and how things going on your side in Austria this week.
Yeah, very, very cool. We are nearing the end of the year. I always say it's the end of the year because it's the end of the school year here in June, end of June. And we have booked a holiday in Croatia for a couple of nights, actually almost a week. Super excited for that because I haven't been near the ocean or in the ocean since we left Cape Town. So I'm very, very excited about that. And also excited just to get through this stage of what's been quite intense the last couple of months.
And I love always chatting with you because, and it's a great reminder as to for our listeners as well, looking where they are. I mean, you're up in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer, it's light, there's a lot going on, in the summertime. Now it's, down in the Southern Hemisphere, it's winter at the moment. It's that cooler, colder space and time. It's more time to go inwards to find the light within, whereas kind of in summer the light is out there and it's kind of easily accessible, like we were chatting right in our introduction. It's like kind of that expansion, and winter is kind of like this contraction. And I love chatting with you because we're always kind of playing between the two. And I think it's really important for our listeners to know that they need to take the seasons into consideration with what they're doing and where they're at, because
absolutely.
And overwhelm in winter is very different to a sense of overwhelm in summer. In a sense that there's underlying stuff that is generally happening, but it can look a little differently as well. And just literally jumping straight into it, for me, overwhelm is when there is just too much. When, our bodies can feel physically overwhelmed when we're just taking in too much. And in summer, the body can, there's a lot of light for more hours a day, and the body is able to burn or digest a lot more food kind of like frequently. Whereas in winter, the number of daylight hours is a lot less, which means that actually when it comes to, for example, nutrifying ourselves and nourishing ourselves, we actually need to take in less, but at a higher density. So we want to take in foods that are a lot more grounding and rooting for us and slower for our internal fire, our internal agni to digest and burn up. So, that's where we want to be eating kind of the nuts and the seeds and the root vegetables and our beans, and make those lovely warm stews. Whereas in summer, we can really enjoy light salads and, the kind of, smoothies and juices and all of those kind of things. And both ways of eating and being can be less taxing for the body at that time of year. And the same kind of like emotionally or mentally in summer, there's so much activity going on with, this concert or, this dinner going out there and often, it's also with school activities happening. There are lots of shows or carnivals or this and the next. Whereas in winter, kind of the emotions and kind of the mental space we're in is a little like, I've got so much that I didn't get done maybe in the summer or the autumn, and that is now still, on my plate, and I need to navigate through, like I maybe put too much in. And how do I navigate it? Because I don't have the same amount of energy like I did in summer. And we often forget that if we take a moment to just really be in rhythm with nature, that we can use the times of the season to support us. So in winter, it is the quiet time to be more reflective, to go inwards, to look for the light within. And yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say about the season, I suppose.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense, it does. It really does, because you do feel so much more expansive in summer, and then being able to eat that fresh food, and then in winter you're cold and you're a little bit more contracted, and you need that warm nourishment to kind of help you through.
Exactly. And I find that, when we take the time to really honor ourselves and what it is we deeply need, and that's when we listen deeply, that's when we start to nurture and nourish ourselves and we feel loved. The other thing that I wanted to bring up with overwhelm is the sense of space. So when we were chatting about our first season, we were chatting about the throat center being the ether element. And I often find that when we don't create enough space in our life, there's often like a disconnect or a blockage sometimes between like our solar plexus, which is our center of fire, where our deeper desire is, and our throat center, which is our center of communication and that ether element. And I often find that when our heart center is a little sluggish, or it feels like there's like a weight, like an elephant standing on your chest, and you just can't breathe and open into it, that kind of like that deeper desire in the solar plexus can't actually come out and be released into the ether, be voiced outwards. And sometimes it just means that, okay, maybe we need to go down a little and, okay, what is the air element in our heart center? How can we open into that space? And like we did with our last series on the chakras, anything in our heart, our month of the heart, will definitely help to maybe just shift something or another in our chakras.
Beautiful. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. So pretty much, overwhelm can be due to a number of different causes, like we've been chatting about. I mean, it could be because of grief. Grief is a big one. And I mean, a lot of people have experienced a lot of grief in a short amount of time in like the last 2 years. When we're overloaded with work overload, or kids and schooling overload, when there is uncertainty, so when we don't really know what is happening, when there is extreme fear, when we struggle to accept things the way they are, or the world the way it is, and we feel we want to change it. And, often it's got to do as well with like our beliefs on, relaxing. Maybe, we have this belief around ourselves that if we're relaxing, that we're being lazy or that we're bad. And so kind of like my first number one little tip or takeaway is we need to change our beliefs around ourselves and the kind of person that we are. So what is it that you are? I mean, are you the kind of person that believes that relaxation is just as important as work? Are you the kind of person that believes that you deserve me time? Are you the kind of person that believes that you can heal yourself? Are you the kind of person that believes that you're able to reach out for support? Like, what are your beliefs, and what beliefs do you need to change so that you can change your trajectory or your direction? Because obviously the one that you're currently on, if you're feeling overwhelmed, ain't working for you. So usually the fastest way to kind of move out of that overwhelm is to look at what is the belief that I'm holding, and what is it that I can change. And sometimes it's as simple as literally, you know what, writing it on a sticky note and putting it on the bathroom mirror or on the kitchen fridge, so that literally every day you see that I'm the person that believes I can do a yoga nidra after work to calm down. I'm the type of person that believes I can heal myself. Whatever it is, the belief that you know you need to change, just put it out there and read it every single day. I think that is so, so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And really making sure that's a positive note, you know, to have it in places, which I've done. You know, I remember right in the beginning of my journey, I used to have sticky notes all over. You know, I had a sticky note when I got up, first thing that I saw out of bed. Then I had a sticky note inside my cupboard when I chose my clothes. I had a sticky note on the mirror for when I brushed my teeth. And as funny as it might sound now, and I probably shouldn't be laughing, but looking back at that, it's phenomenal how much that has changed in my life and how much that has helped me. Because I think we tend to forget that we have this negative loop in our head, you know, that silent voice that keeps on repeating that negative, you know, that keeps on bringing us down and down and down. So how do we bring and change that, you know, into a positive? By seeing that, by visually seeing it, and by visually speaking it and allowing it to integrate into the mind and into the body. So that's a great one. Yes.
Yeah. And it's not like that sticky note is going to be on, you know, your kitchen for the rest of your life. It's just for this moment in time to shift something. And then, you know, when you're doing that practice, you don't need it anymore, or you can change it to something else. It's not permanent. Everything and anything is always changeable. So yeah, I do love sticky notes. I do still use them a lot. Yeah, I do find them very helpful. It always moves me kind of into the next best version of me. So the next kind of aspect I wanted to address is this idea of getting into rhythm, like circadian rhythm. And it's what I teach on my year-long course, where we use like the simple principles of Ayurveda, and we actually make sure that we're implementing them as often as possible. We're not going for perfectionism, because being perfect or doing things at 100% is just literally a recipe for failure. But we want to maybe do things 4-5 days out of a week, because the more often we do it, the better it'll become. And it's simple things that help us get into rhythm. It's, you know, eating your main meal at lunchtime when the sun is the highest and the brightest. It's getting to bed early. So when the light starts going, you know, getting dark, the sun goes down, that's when we should be preparing for bed. When we wake up, we really want to hydrate ourselves. We want to move. We want to get that energy going. We want to get as many nutrients into our body day as possible. It doesn't mean that we're never going to enjoy a chocolate or a glass of red wine or this or that. But if we ensure that we get our nutrients early on in the day, we are more likely to make better food choices the rest of the day, because our mind is now well nourished. We're not going on like, you know, hot chocolate and carbs first thing in the morning. Taking care of our senses, self-massage, that tactile feeling that we were chatting about. So just doing these simple practices is so beneficial in getting into rhythm, our daily rhythm. So yeah, we know what we need to, we often know what we need to do. We just need a little bit of support sometimes in making sure that we actually do implement them and implement them regularly. So that would be my second tip there on getting into rhythm.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so important as well, because once we allow ourselves to get into rhythm, and learn about just, the benefits of that, are so fruitful. And I feel that often we, in life, we just in this rat race, of jumping out of bed, having that coffee, sometimes even having a cigarette to that coffee, not even having a meal in the morning, going straight into work, into meetings. And then at lunchtime, getting a burger from Kentucky Fried Chicken. And, it's just that knowledge, once you have that knowledge of how you can treat your body, how you can treat yourself, how you can nourish your body and nourish yourself in better ways, then you can do better, and I think that's a beautiful thing that you're offering, that year's course, where people really get to feel into that from being with you for a year, because you're going through the seasons together. So that's very special.
I absolutely love it. I love the work, and I find that it's so beneficial. And that leads me kind of like to the third point on this, like get into community, because often when we're overwhelmed, we isolate ourselves. We think that no one understands. We think that no one has gone through or is going through what we're going through. No one has it as bad as me, just no one knows. And actually, so many people have experienced something similar to you, maybe not exactly in the way that you've experienced it, but something similar. So, a lot of people have experienced deep grief, and there are loads of like grief support groups out there. If it is that you don't want to speak to like a family friend or something like that, find the support in a group like that. The same as business. If you're feeling that your business isn't working, get yourself a business coach. If you find that your house is just overly cluttered and there's no space, get someone in who does Marie Kondo style to your house and can help you do that. Because sometimes we're just so overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. And just getting someone or a friend in, or someone who does it as a business to come and help declutter and organize your house can be super helpful. And the same is like with your body, if you're feeling like your body is just not moving like it used to, maybe it means like joining a team sport or finding a fitness coach, someone who can motivate you to do the things that you're wanting to do. And when you start to invest in yourself in this way, you actually start to take yourself more serious and you start to honor yourself. Whereas when you don't invest in yourself, you don't really have skin in the game and you're not really going to make the changes. But if you kind of like, paid a business coach to give you coaching, you sure as hell going to, show up for those Zoom meetings. Or, if you've paid a fitness coach to do strength training with you, you're going to show up at, the gym or wherever you're meeting. And, the same as if you're paying someone to come and declutter your house, you're more likely to actually be there and help out. So I find a lot of it is kind of like, when you're prepared to invest in yourself in the right communities, it can really help you get yourself organized with what it is you're wanting to get organized. And that's what we were chatting about with you last week, Nicole. It's just kind of like getting that order in place, how to do things.
Absolutely. And I find also the beauty about community is that you can always, there's always an accountability buddy. You can always team up with somebody that you resonate with through the community, and you can, kind of have each other's back, and say, when I'm really down and out, I can call you, or you can call me, or we can check up on each other and see how things are going. And I also think it's such a some people really need that exchange, that exchange of energy, whether it's financial or whether it's the accountability buddy, to be accountable and to have that commitment in place in order to bring about that change for the better. Yeah, because doing it on your own is, you need that motivation, and of course, if you in that
doable, but it's so hard, Nicole. Hey, we've both done it, and we've both been in communities, and it's just so much easier and so much quicker when we are in community with the right, or in the right community for what we're wanting to do. There's no point, for example, to get into a business coaching community if you're wanting to work on, strength training. You got to be at the right place at the right time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if you're knowing that your lifestyle rhythm is off, then you need to get into a lifestyle program. So it's finding the right thing at the right time. If you're wanting pear juice, orange juice ain't going to hit the spot.
No, it definitely doesn't. And I know that there's also people out there that aren't, that are lone wolves, that aren't really so community based. And I know that I fall into that category a lot as well. As much as I love being social, I do like to do things in my own way. So I often join community, not necessarily to have that accountability buddy or to have that person, but more so just to be part of the community, So sometimes you can be part of a community, but be kind of on the outskirts. You don't have to be so involved. It depends on what type of personality you are. So I know that for some of us, including myself, community sometimes gives me a bit of what will they expect of me? Do I have to write in every day how I'm feeling or what's going on, because I don't like sharing, So even if you are like that, it's okay. And it's okay for you to be part of the community, just to receive that benefit of knowing that you're not the only one in that space.
100%. You totally hit the nail on the head. Kind of you get involved as deeply as is right for you and your personality at this point in time. And sometimes just even being on the periphery and hearing what is being spoken about and other people's experiences can be so uplifting and invigorating and eye-opening. So being in the right conversation, like our conversations that we're having, just have that same essence to it.
Absolutely, yeah. Just give me 5. Sorry, my battery's about to go. I'm just getting a charger quickly. Sorry.
Great. So kind of, for me, overwhelmed, looking at things like our belief system around ourselves is really important. Getting into rhythm with nature is so important, and being in the right community at the right time is important. So I thought I'd just end off with sharing a couple of really practical tips that I find I often do regularly myself, and that literally you, our listeners, can all implement right away. The first thing to reduce overwhelm and anxiety and anything like that is to reduce time on social media. I find that when I just get into that scrolling mode, especially in the evenings, it is so detrimental to kind of heading down that downward spiral. So reduce the time. Maybe it's that you're only on social media once a day, or if you know that you're on it regularly, maybe set a timer and you're on social media twice a day for 15 minutes or whatever the story is, and then you don't go on anymore. So social media is a big one for me. The other thing that I've noticed for us is being in front of the TV, especially in winter. It's so easy to just, relax in front of the couch and watch TV. And maybe, even if it's just for 2 nights a week, maybe exchange the TV watching with a nice long bath in the evenings and a foot massage afterwards, and going into bed and maybe reading there, and just see how it feels. It doesn't mean that you're never going to watch TV in the evenings again, but maybe just 2 or 3 nights this week, try something different and see how it makes you feel and if you sleep better.
Mm.
Another massive one that took a whole load of overwhelm and stress out of my life, and it sounds anal, but it's having a meal plan. When I know, like, I've come back from my weekly shop because it takes an hour to drive to town where I live because we're so remote, and come back. I wash all the veggies. I know what we've got. I know what was in stock, and I put a meal plan together for the week. I know when the stir fries are happening. I know what, stew or soup is happening, when I need to be soaking beans and rice and having that plan. I don't have to think every morning, what am I going to cook today? Or in the afternoons, what am I going to cook today? Because I just look at my meal plan and I know that's what's happening. And it is the biggest lifesaver for me that I will do or admit to. And it sounds like it's too structured and it's, but it helps. And it's not like you have to stick to it 100%, because often I won't stick to my meal plan, but at least if I have an idea as to what is there, it is easy to adapt. So if I don't actually feel like a stir fry on a Tuesday evening, I can see that, my meal that I was going to have on the Wednesday, I can switch that for what was going to happen on a Tuesday. But I don't have to find recipes or rethink. And it totally reduces the amount of stress in my daily life.
I cannot agree with you more, because Isabella and I on a daily basis is like, what are we cooking today? Let's find a good recipe. Stressful, don't have this in the fridge. Let me quickly run up to the shops. And meal plans have been something that we've been wanting to, I should have implemented a long time ago. But I need to do that. So thank you for that reminder.
Often we have such a resistance to it, but it really is so easy. And then just keep things as simple as possible. Often we answer people before we've actually taken time to think about what the question or what kind of impact that will have on us. So, instead of maybe, the person saying, do you want to come over for dinner tomorrow night? Instead of just saying, yes, that sounds good, maybe just say, just let me think about it. Can I get back to you in half an hour? And then you can take a moment to really make an informed decision. Like, do you have the time? Do you have the energy? Is this something that you're really wanting to do? So instead of just answering yes, it's absolutely fine to say, can I think about it? Can you give me half an hour or a day or a week to get back to you? And just test it out.
Absolutely.
And remember, ask for help. So those are my practical tips and my takeaways for Overwhelm.
Sounds amazing, Nina. Yeah, thank you so much. And such important points, so important to really kind of learn about the seasons. How do you interact with the seasons? What can you get out of the seasons? Then really implementing that sense of space, allowing us to change our belief system with the sticky notes, which we love and are really so easy, so easy to do. The circadian rhythm. And then, of course, your last one was getting into community, which is amazing. And thank you for those tips as well of, how to reduce overwhelm. And it's so interesting when you spoke about reducing time on social media, because I actually had to do that for myself. I had to put on a time limit on my phone. And it's interesting because I put in 2 hours. Of course, I also do work on social media and stuff, but you don't just go on to do work, right? So you do your post and then you get stuck on it. And 2 hours a day on social media isn't just Instagram, it's also other social media platforms. And when I put that alarm on and that block, it was really interesting to see for me, like, okay, put the phone away. I'm not allowed to go into it again. It's really, really good. And the TV thing, yes, absolutely. Take that time to have a bath. If you don't have a bath, have a foot bath, get into a good book, have a conversation with your partner, your child, your animal, yourself, your plants, your crystals, whatever you share your space with. And then the meal plan, so simple, put it into place, note to self. and keeping things simple. Thanks so much, Nina. Really, your tips and your tricks and your insight and your explaining and preciseness is always so great. So thanking you for not just myself, but for all our listeners as well. And of course, get hold of Nina. She does her year course. And I think if I'm not mistaken, you can jump into the course at any time, or do you have specific times that people can?
I've got three start dates in a year, but we can in July and November and in March, but we can always navigate things between then to work with people. So
fabulous. So get hold of Nina for that. We will have all the information and contact details at the end of the podcast. And yes, thank you so much for all this insight. Wishing everybody an amazing day. Luckily, this is a recording that you can watch and listen to whenever you need to. I know Nina gave a lot of information, so perhaps listen to it again a couple of times. It's amazing how we always take in information in a different way at a different time.
Yeah, so true. So true. And I look forward to our closing conversation next week, where everyone can catch us live on YouTube. We're going to try and give that a go and see how that works.
Yeah, that's going to be super interesting, but I think it's going to be super fun too. So everybody, next week, we're going to be live. It's going to be on Tuesday evening. What time did we say so that we can let our listeners know? I think we said 7:30.
7:30 p.m. 19:30 p.m. Tuesday evening. Sounds good. Let's give it a go. And again, as always, if you have any questions, any comments, if you have any tips or tricks on Overwhelm that you use, throw it into our social media posts. We'd love to hear from you and what you do and your thoughts.
Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day and week further. And we look forward to catching up with you live next week, Tuesday, 7:30 in the evening. Mwah.
Namaste. Thank you for listening to our Nourish and Restore podcast today. To find out more about Nourish and Restore, visit our website or Facebook page, nourishandrestore.yoga. For more information on working with me, Nina Saacks, visit www.yogaa.co.za. And to work with my awesome friend Nicole, visit www.lov-me.com. Links will be in the show notes. We look forward to catching up with you next week. Namaste and have a nourishing